Hello. In today's video, I will talk about Temperance, who is card 14 of the Major Arcana. So, how I understand this card is I think of her as related to the Buddha family, karma, which is about all accomplishing action. The color is green and the element is air. I think of this card as related to this energy because it's working with right action. It's working with balance and alignment. It's working with harmony. In its upright position, it's talking about balance. It's talking about being aligned with both the spirit and the natural world. It's talking about being grounded in a certain way. It's working with like the middle path, and it is working with, I know I've said this before, but being aligned with both what's happening in the natural world and what's going on spiritually. And so I often think about that kind of energy as aligned with the karma energy, which is all about using its time and resources wisely when it's in its wisdom state. It's about if a small change needs to happen, using a gentle breeze and not having to use a hurricane to blow things over or to destroy everything if just some minor change needs to happen. And so the karma energy is all about that, using precisely the amount of energy that is needed to accomplish a particular action. And so when it's in its wisdom state, it's working with that kind of precision and that kind of understanding. When this card is reversed or in its neurotic state, it is working with extremes, going from one extreme to the next. It's working with chaos and misalignment, off balance. When this card shows up in its reverse state, it's either a warning that, not to go to extremes and to like re-center one's energy and realign oneself, or it's saying that you are, in this place of extremes. You're in an extreme state, or you're working with that kind of energy, kind of like going from this one to that thing, and not really in balance or harmony. I think about how important it is for Temperance to maintain the balance when she's standing on a rock with, her foot in the water while performing this ritual. And if she puts too much energy toward the water, she falls into the water. If she puts too much energy on the rock, she ends up, falling over onto the rock and pulling her foot out of the water to try and get her balance. If she is focused too heavily on where her feet are placed, then she may spill what she's pouring from one cup into the other, or drop one of the cups, or who knows what, right? And so in order for her to perform her ritual while in the position she's in, she definitely has to maintain her balance and has to maintain her alignment with both what's happening around her. Like if she gets huge kind of gust of wind, she's gotta like maintain herself within that environment. If it's a gentle breeze, she's gotta maybe not push so hard against what she might push if there was a gust of wind where she, like, in order to maintain her balance, she might have to lean a particular way. But it's all about working with what is happening and what's going on around her in order to maintain her integrity and to maintain her balance. And of course, in her neurotic state, she is putting too much energy in one area or another, or really not paying attention to, perhaps where she's placing her feet while she's pouring the cups and then she falls into the water, or not paying attention to the cups while she's focusing so much attention on her feet, and then she drops the cup or she pours the water out of the cup. And so it's really about really trying to find her ground and maintain her alignment with it. This card went through, basically it was 2 iterations. The first was on paper, which was a set of scales and some words. When she moved into electronic form, this woman showed up and maintained its integrity from electronic form until now. A few minor things changed with the card, like her scenery had to shrink a bit, but she maintained her integrity. This woman showed up and was like, I am Temperance. At one point when I went from electronic form into card format, I was going to redesign her because I was having problems moving her over and getting a clear image. And so I started to redesign her, and that kept not feeling correct. And she kept calling me back to her, calling me. And so what I ended up doing is kind of redrawing her, just kind of sharpening up the lines and that kind of thing, rather than redesigning her completely. When I think about this card and when I think about this woman and the energy and how she showed up and her insistence upon being represented in this way, I often think about a Native American woman. And although I don't know a lot about the different Native traditions or cultures, one of the things that seems to ring true about Native Americans in general is there seems to be this feeling or this sentiment about connecting to the divine, connecting to the earth and with what is going on widely around. Not just focusing on the self in this kind of ego way, but really balancing man with the earth and the environment and, the wind and the earth and the animals. And it has this kind of, my understanding is that many of the Native cultures are working with that kind of balance. And so I'm guessing this is why she showed up as she is and kept kind of calling me back to her, and the way that she showed up and the what she kind of stirred in me as she was revealing herself. Again, she felt connected to Native Americas, whether it's native of the United States or South America, but she felt the energy that I often think about or hear about whenever I hear about the different traditions that were connected with the earth and with the elements and with, the world in this kind of bigger, wider than self kind of way. I think that's all I want to say about her for now, but I would like to thank you for joining me. In the next video, I will talk about the devil. Until then.